This episode is brought to you by Seen Unseen Disneyland by Russell Flores, a book all about the things you see but don't really see at Disneyland. Grab your copy at all major online retailers. Also, every copy sold provides one piece of bacon to an underprivileged Russell.
Communicore Weekly. Come on and get geeky with Bob around boats and five-legged goats. Communicore Weekly. You might get some freaking. You waited all week. I'm sure you already know this. Greatest online show.
Hello, and welcome to Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show and home of the world's first pair of independently born identical twins. I'm George.
And I'm Jeff. And here I am sitting here, and I'm going through these envelopes that came to the P.O. box today, and they're all decorated really nicely.
Like a pimp my envelope type thing?
Kinda, yeah. I mean, these people are really talented, these cadets who are sending things in. I'm a fan.
Of us or of them?
Well, both, actually.
Oh, good.
We should hold a contest for, like, most creatively bedazzled self-addressed stamped envelope or something.
As long as it's legal.
It'll be illegal. Wait, what? What are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. I mean, the postal service might stop an envelope that's a little too creative.
That's true. They may get a little jealous. They may want to keep it for themselves. Because there are quite a few that are, like, actually hanging in my office, so I'm not going to lie. So
Get them framed.
Exactly. But don't forget to send in your self-addressed stamped envelopes to P.O. Box 432, Orange, California, 92856. You know, that way we can send you your official cadet membership cards and stickers and such as well.
I'm step, jump, and skip. We took a trip, and this is our trip
Okay, so I guess we have to have a caveat before we start this trip report.
Oh, good. I'm
because
hungry.
Okay, sorry. Caveat means warning, not
Oh.
like a food you get to eat.
Oh, I thought you said caviar. I know, it's because I don't even like
Oh,
caviar.
yeah, caviar.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Some people have... I'm sorry. Go on. Just go on.
That's for those highfalutin podcasts.
Oh, I do play the flute. Thank you.
Okay, well, anyways, my warning before we start the trip report, this is not a visit to a local haunt.
Oh,
Because I would be too scared.
I'm
Trust me, there were some
disappointed.
scary parts in this, and I had to go the other way. But anyway, so a few weeks ago, I got an email from Visit North Carolina. You know, I live in North Carolina.
Did you go?
Never
mind.
Why would I want to visit here, you know? And it said that there was an exhibit at the North Carolina Museum of History in Raleigh, which is our state capital, called Starring NC, or Starring North Carolina. And it was all about North Carolina and the movie industry. Yeah, who knew? Who knew?
I didn't know.
And yeah, of course not. So what caught my attention from the email was a blurb that said there were props from Iron Man 3 and the coonskin cap that was worn by Fess Parker and Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier.
Wait, did they film
And-
that in North Carolina? Davy Crockett?
Parts of it were filmed in the Appalachian Mountains.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
more
And they did
you
not
know.
let you put on the coonskin cap.
Oh, I thought they would let you put it on and then it would tell you what house you're in.
Yeah, it was kind of scary.
Gryffindor.
Like, long Gryffindor.
Sorry.
It was kind of scary though, because when I got real close enough to see it, I tried to get pictures, but I couldn't. You could see the face of the raccoon.
Oh,
in the
really?
cap. Yeah, I was like,
Ugh.
oh, that's gross. Okay, never mind.
Gross.
Yeah. So anyway, so the exhibit itself is subtitled 100 Years, 3,000 Films.
I hope that's an accurate
So-
statistic.
I do too. Yeah. Who knew? I was pretty excited to see the Iron Man props, and that's how I convinced my 11-year-old to go with us on this family trip, because usually it's some kind of bribe. Not we're going to go see a cool museum, but you know there's something specific we're going to give you. But I was really surprised once we got there at the depth and the size of the exhibit. So it was pretty cool. The North Carolina History Museum is located very close to the Legislative Building in Raleigh. And the only reason I bring that up is because it looks like an early Epcot Center type building, which is kind of weird. Like they designed it here and said, it's a little too ugly. We'll, design something better in Epcot. And also it's close to the State Library of North Carolina, so I had to go there.
Weird.
But I've been there before. I've been in the State Library before. Anyway, the exhibit debuted in November 2014 and is running through September 2015. So if you want to visit it, it may not be worth a trip just for this. but it was a great exhibit nonetheless. Anyway, it was $10 per adult and $6 for students, and that did include college students, any age from there. And like a lot of other museums that you're seeing across the country, they're moving towards, the overall museum is free, but they're making you pay for special exhibits. And I thought $10 per person wasn't too bad, especially if you spend some time there. The Starring NC exhibit is on the 3rd floor of the museum, and you pick up a sticker, which you put somewhere on your shirt or I guess your body or somewhere, when you buy your tickets that lets you pass the docent, so to speak. And the entire exhibit is about 8,000 square feet, which I thought was really pretty large for what it is. So one of the first things that you see is the Stark bunny. In that, not the big giant, 30-foot tall bunny that they feature in the film, but a smaller one, that you could carry around. And then the outfit for the Headless Horseman from Sleepy Hollow.
Christopher Walken?
The television show Sleepy Hollow, which is filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina.
You got me really
overall.
excited.
Yeah, I know. And I also have to, a friend of mine who complains about the show because it's not a true Hessian outfit, blah, 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 but that's neither here nor there. So overall, we spent at least 2 hours in the exhibit as the family. And I really could have spent a lot more time, especially looking at the stuff at the beginning of the exhibit that was all about displays, not only just on filmmaking in North Carolina, but filmmaking in general. It had a rotoscope, an example of rotoscope, which was kind of fun. I mean, lots of black and white images and stills and information about the famous people that were born or grew up in North Carolina that made it big in Hollywood. And apparently, a lot of the films were made in North Carolina from studios in New York because it's a great alternative to the city. It was a lot cheaper, really great weather, and a lot of great scenery.
Tax
especially
breaks.
And tax breaks. Well, this was back in the 1900s. But, apparently a lot nicer to film in the mountains of North Carolina than in the heat of the city at times. So there were a lot of different, monitors that showed some of the early film clips when they could, but most of the time they were just film stills and images and stuff. And from there, the exhibit itself I thought was pretty eclectic. It didn't have as much of a rhyme or reason to it as I would have liked, but there was a lot of meandering and looking at the films and the different film projects, and there were really a lot of them. The press release that they gave out talked about the movie scene in North Carolina. They said changed dramatically in the 1980s when Dino De Laurentiis arrived to film Firestarter, based on a Stephen King novel, and he liked the area so much that he built a studio in Wilmington and launched what they're calling the Path to Hollywood East. And they said, of course, there have been hundreds of movies, independent films, made-for-TV movies, documentaries that have been filmed across the state. A lot of the exhibits and the displays themselves were standalone exhibits, so to speak. Sort of like a column in the middle of the floor, and you would walk around a lot of them. And each area, or each one dedicated to a film or a television show, had a major prop piece, like a costume or something like that. There were images from the film, images from the productions, and also information about the production, the stars and the crew and stuff like that. And they did something kind of fun where they scattered a lot of the Iron Man references throughout the whole exhibit. Because, of course, that's every time we found one, the 11-year-old got really, really excited.
So it kept him engaged for the entire time.
Sort of, yeah. There were parts that was a little bit too much for him, being an 11-year-old, but there were some really cool hands-on exhibits that they had. But there was the Stark Bunny at the beginning, and then there's several things from the crew, like special Iron Man T-shirts they had on display that they gave out to the crew, as well as a solid gold skull keychain that a certain star of the Iron Man films gave to everybody on the crew. And they were little tiny solid gold 14-karat skulls.
Nice.
It was very weird, but it was on display there. And then they had a making of how they made that scene in Iron Man 3 where the presidential airplane blows up and the Iron Man has to save everybody.
As they're flying out of the airplane?
As they're flying out of the airplane,
I think that's an extra on the Blu-ray.
Yeah, it talked about how they did that, but they actually had pieces of the costume there after
that's
it had
cool.
broken apart. Yeah, so you could see that close up. And there was a Foley exhibit there as well. And it was sort of like Rock Band.
Did you know what Foley was beforehand?
Yes, I did. I did, because I had seen some stuff at Disney's MGM Studios about Foley work.
Sounds dangerous.
Yes, it does. I wouldn't want to go through it twice. But basically, they showed a film, and you could pick between a action film or a horror film.
And you picked action film.
I picked the horror film.
What? Who are you?
I tried to be brave. I was with my 11-year-old, so he was making me there. But they had little things that you could follow when the screen flashed a certain color. You knew to make a certain noise to go with it,
like ooh, that kind of thing.
Well, there were some things where you had to make noises like that. Well, there were some other things that might be notable to some people who may not have may have an interest outside of like Iron Man and stuff like that. There was the velvet robe and severed ear, gross, from the 1986 Blue Velvet film. There was also the jacket worn by Kevin Costner in Bull Durham, so you can stand in front of it and think about that whole speech that he gives and blah, 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 blah. And there was even Leonardo's mask from the 1990 movie Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
What?
Which is the one. Yeah, I did not know Leonardo DiCaprio even wore a mask in that.
I did not know either.
Not at all. Makes total sense, though.
He's the king of the world, so he's allowed to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, he can do what he wants to with that. So, but probably the coolest thing outside of the Disney stuff with Iron Man and the coonskin cap from Davy Crockett was Ricky Bobby's number 26 Wonder Bread race car from the amazing Talladega Nights.
Oh, yes.
Film,
that's amazing. Which was
filmed in Charlotte Speedway and the Rockingham Speedway.
Did you take it home with you?
I tried to climb into it, and then that's sort of the end of the trip report. I guess. No, but I did get some great photos of it. You know, if you're in the area, in Raleigh, in North Carolina, anywhere stopping by, I think it's a fun diversion. You'll learn a lot about how movies were made in North Carolina, all the famous movies. I think you'll really be surprised everything was out there, and it was a good time. It was a good time, and there's a couple great museums down there, and as I mentioned, you can laugh at the odd legislative building. That's all we'll say. Yeah, but it was exciting to finally do a trip report. It's been a long time.
Since you've done one? Yeah,
since I've done one. So since I had to take control of the mic. But, well, if you have any questions or thoughts on the Starring North Carolina exhibit, or if you visited it, let us know what you think. Give us a call on the Communicore Weekly GOAT line at 424-785-4628. That's 424-785-GOAT.
He's a nerd, he's a geek, but we all like to hear him speak. So listen up to the words from his speech. It's George's Book of the Week.
This week's book is Zodiac Legacy Convergence. And it was a review title that sort of showed up rather unexpectedly. I didn't even know it was coming out, and it just showed up from Disney Publishing, and I was like, hey, read this and enjoy it. So anyway, it's written by Stan Lee.
Wait,
yes.
Did they actually say that on the package? Enjoy it?
No.
Okay, good.
I was trying to pep it up a little bit.
Gotcha.
So as I was saying, it was written, or is written, by Stan Lee and Stuart Moore. And yes, that's Stan Lee of Marvel, Avengers fame, comic books, you name it, with illustrations by Andy Tong. And, I was actually pretty excited when the book came in because it's got a fantastic cover. And it's Stan Lee. Who doesn't love Stan Lee? I mean, anyway.
If you don't love Stan Lee, you're not human.
Exactly.
You're a Skrull.
Exactly. But based on the blurb that I read, it looked like a pretty cool series to start. One that easily could be adapted into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, or even as just a video game. It sort of looked like they wrote it with that in mind as well. We meet a young man who's about 14, or about an 8th grader, named Stephen Lee. And as far as I can tell, there's no relation to Stan Lee besides the last name. Couldn't tell. And he was on a class field trip to Hong Kong, which seems kind of weird to me. Our class field trips never went outside of the city.
Especially in 8th grade.
Yeah, 8th grade. And his parents are very successful business people, so they're sort of not in the picture very often, which is kind of weird. But while on a tour of the museum in Hong Kong, he follows a tour guide after hearing muffled cries and screams coming from the basement levels, which is exactly what I wouldn't do. I'd sort of go the other way.
You would go in the opposite direction.
I'm not going to do this one. And so once he reaches the lower chambers of this museum, because it's pretty massive, we meet the tour guide who was screaming. Her name is Jasmine. We meet another gentleman named Carlos, and then we meet Maxwell, who wears the mantle throughout the book of a megalomaniacal supervillain, and he does it very, very, very well. The title Zodiac, it's sort of how does the Zodiac power fit in here? Maxwell, the aforementioned supervillain, is trying to capture the 12 Zodiac powers while Jasmine and Carlos are trying to stop it. And something goes awry, as it does in every great book, and the Zodiac power is channeled into the world and zaps some unsuspecting teens around the world, including Stephen, with these Zodiac powers. And I know you're thinking, Zodiac powers? What? There are 12 powers, according to the book, based on the Chinese Zodiac. Dog, dragon, rat, rabbit, horse, snake. You've seen them on the menus. Try to figure out what year you are. And each one of the Zodiac has a... Well, you've done it, haven't you?
I have, but your point of reference for that is just hilarious to me.
Oh, okay, good. So each one of them has a different strength, which will come into play. And the interesting thing about the book, it is geared towards teens and tweens. Obviously, with an 8th grade hero, that gives you the age range. All the good guys are kids, and all the bad guys are adults. I don't know.
So there you go, kids. Adults are
Might
evil.
be an agenda. Yeah, adults
Bottom
are
line.
You heard it first on Communicore Weekly. The book is really, really, really long, and it took me a long time to get through it, and a long time to get into it. It took almost 150 pages before I felt like I wanted to continue to read it. And the only reason I read it is because I just wanted it to be good. Andy Tong illustrated a lot of the different scenes in the book, usually the key action scenes, and that really helped bridge the gap between being, just a juvenile fiction book and a comic book. I think something like that would help pull some reticent readers into it. I still didn't feel like there were enough illustrations throughout the book, though, to keep me going, keep me interested. But the last 100 pages were really action-packed, but it felt like it just dragged on way too long. And honestly, this book is geared towards, probably my guess is, early teens and tweens that are having a hard time reading, and they might want something like a superhero book to get them into the mode of reading. We call those, as I mentioned before, the reticent readers. And this book is just not going to excite them at all. I was trying to think of who the audience is, but after reading it, I couldn't come across it.
It ain't you.
No, not at all. I love the idea. I love the concept. I really wouldn't recommend it for adult readers unless you're a fan of everything Stan Lee has done. As I said, I do like where the story is headed. It needs to be very concise in the future. It's just way too much story that just didn't go anywhere. And it was almost like the authors really spent too much time developing the characters as regular kids, so you connect with them. And they had lots of different types of kids from all over the world, so you had a really good mixture. And the addition of the illustrations was really well done, added a lot to the book, was enough to put it over the edge for me, especially considering that's a superhero book, and this is something I should really love, or should have liked. I don't know, overhand, I can't really recommend it unless you need something to read.
That's a ringing endorsement.
Yeah, and you like Stan Lee. Like I mentioned, I really enjoyed the last 100 pages, but going through the first 200 pages to get there just wasn't my idea of fun.
Yeah, I'm still on the first 150. This is probably the first time we both got the same book to review, and I have not completed it at the time of review. I mean, I'm still less than 150 pages in, and I just can't get into it. And I'll finish it eventually, because I have this thing where I have to finish every book that I start. Yeah. But I don't know, something about it is just not the best, and I don't really like it all that much. But I don't know, if there's future chapters and you recommend them, I will definitely power through this. But
we'll wait till something else comes out.
Yeah,
so
fair enough.
We've run across other YA series, especially like the stuff by Ian Colfer, which is phenomenal, great storytelling. This just was missing something. But if you're interested, and you like superheroes and the Zodiac power sounds kind of cool to you, check it out. Go to your local library and ask them for a copy. It is The Zodiac Legacy by Stan Lee, and I'm going to forget the other person's name, and Stuart Moore. Stan Lee and Stuart Moore.
Here's another minute that you can't get back. It's the 60-second review.
The time has come for Big Hero 6 to be out on Blu-ray. And
Yay!
guys, thank you for the
I was
cheering.
very excited.
I worked very hard on this film. Just kidding, I had nothing to do with it. But I did watch it, and it was amazing.
That's right, you didn't see it in the theater, did you?
I didn't see it in the theater. I did not see it until it showed up in my house. We just didn't get a chance to see it in the theater for one reason or another.
Oh, yeah.
And I was totally blown away by it.
Yeah, we saw it in the theater, took the whole family. Everybody walked out, just loved it.
Yeah, it's great. And this is not a dig at it at all, but it felt like Marvel light. So, like, if
Sure,
there's
yeah.
little kids in your family, you don't think they can handle, the Marvel
Avengers
films.
or Captain America.
Yeah, exactly. This is a good starter film, a good starter superhero film for them, I think.
Yeah.
But it was good. It was Marvel light in a good way. I really enjoyed it.
And this is an actual. Was it a Marvel studio? No, it's a Disney film.
No, it's a
But it's
Disney
under the Marvel.
film.
Yeah,
They
it's not Pixar. People have gotten confused about that. But we actually saw it in the theater, and then we got a preview Disney Movie Anywhere code that we downloaded, which you can then watch on iTunes.
And then you watched it
or
anywhere?
Google Play. We did watch. Well, we watched it in the family room. We watched. I think I watched it twice, and my youngest son, the superhero freak, he must have watched it 6 or 7 times. Showed all of his friends. Love the movie. Love the characters. Love the look of it. It is gorgeous. It is probably one of the most beautiful films that Disney's done in a long time because the San Francisco landscape is beautiful.
The entire aesthetic of the city itself.
it's gorgeous.
It felt like another character in the film, and they really showcased it well. I thought it was great.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm sure most people may not know this, that it was an actual Marvel comic book. There's 2 different editions of it, and the movie has nothing to do with the original comic. I mean, character names are the same, but that's pretty much where the similarities end. The comic is pretty dark, to be honest with you. But this was great. I mean, I think everybody knows how much people enjoyed it already. How, great, typical Disney heartfelt, hits you right in the feels. So, maybe we should just talk about the extras a little bit and the fun things on there.
Looks beautiful on Blu-ray, looked great on Disney Movie Anywhere, sounded spectacular.
Yes, it did.
As well. It blew me away on so many levels. So the specials, it came with the short film Feast, which was pretty neat. The Disney Movie Anywhere download came with an additional short with Mickey Mouse in Tokyo.
Oh, really?
I can't remember the name offhand, but my youngest and I, we just laughed the whole time. It was fantastic. It's the new modern Mickey shorts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it was absolutely spectacular. And Feast was cute.
I do like Feast quite a bit.
Theater. Yeah, that was an adorable story about a bulldog named Winston.
I actually saw it here at work in 3D when we were screening some short films, and quite enjoyed it again when I watched it on Blu-ray, even not in 3D.
That's nice.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, they had some making of it. The origin story of Big Hero 6, Hero's Journey, was really, really good, I thought.
Yeah, that was cool.
Background, the development of it.
I liked the big Animator 6 thing that had a little bit about the animators of the film behind it. It's just cool to see their process and how they actually made it. I like that kind of stuff. It was really neat.
Yeah, and after watching that scene, I'm pretty sure there are a few of the animators actually in the robotics lab that you see at the beginning.
Oh, I'm sure.
Of the film.
I'm sure they put themselves in there. Why not?
Yeah, which was fantastic.
Need faces, use your own.
Use your own. And yeah, they had some deleted scenes and an alternate opening, which was pretty eye-opening and would have changed the mood of the movie altogether.
Yeah, I agree. But I don't say anything about that. Let them see it.
No, I won't. It was absolutely fantastic. If you haven't seen it, this is a definite purchase.
With sight unseen, I would buy this movie. Absolutely. I think many people would say the same thing. It's just a great film, great visuals, a lot of heart, a lot of laughs. And
Baymax is an amazing character.
What else can we say about Baymax that hasn't been said already? I mean, Baymax.
Absolutely amazing. Wonderful character. Stole our hearts. Everybody fell in love with him immediately. Loved it. You need to go out and buy it now.
Now, buy it now.
Buy it now.
That's 2 Communicore Weekly thumbs up from us.
Totes.
All right,
well,
guys.
Six of them. Six of them.
6 thumbs. That means it's great. Go and get it now. I hope you're satisfied with this Blu-ray review.
Sometimes you might see it, sometimes you don't. Hey, look, what's that? It's a 5-legged goat.
Walking around Toontown at Disneyland, you'll see a lot of crazy stuff. And if you go into any of the characters' houses, it's like a 5-legged goat overload. There's so many goats everywhere. But
5-legged Goverload?
Goat-a-load?
Goat-a-load, that's better.
Goat-a-load,
Okay,
let's
good.
go with that. So the next time you're in Mickey Mouse's house, take a look around his living room and you'll find his passport, because we all know that the mouse travels an awful lot. Now, Mickey's birthday on the passport is shown as November 18th, 1928, which was the release date of Steamboat Willie. But that's not all on the passport. Look at the stamps within the book as well, and you'll see that he had visited plenty of other places at very particular times. Now, for example, on October 1st, 1971, he visited Orlando, Florida. And then on April 15th, 1983, he visited Tokyo, Japan. And then finally, on Avril 12th, 1992, he flew into the Charles de Gaulle Airport in Paris, France. Now, why these places at these particular times? Obviously, they all correspond to opening days of Walt Disney World, Tokyo Disneyland, and Euro Disney, respectively. So it's kind of strange that they actually didn't put the Hong Kong one on there yet, but Shanghai is opening soon, so maybe he's going for a 2-for-1 trip there.
That might be what it is, yeah.
It's a little cheaper if you do it all at once.
Or they would have to redo the whole prop.
That mouse is on a budget, guys. I totally understand. Totally understand. But now we've come to the time of the show where we announce the prize winner for this week of the Year of a Million or So limited time cadets. This week's prize is a copy of Seen Unseen Disneyland by Russell Flores. Thank you, Russell, for donating the prize. We will get that out to the winner shortly. And as a sidebar, the second edition, or Seen Unseen Disneyland 2 Electric Boogaloo, not final title, I made it up right now, that will be coming later on this year, so keep an eye out for that as well. But this week's prize winner is Wendy. Jeez, what is wrong with me? Wendy S. from Indianapolis, Indiana. So congratulations, Wendy. You'll be receiving your book shortly, and I hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, and don't forget, you can still enter the prize. It's not too late. We'll be doing it until the end of season 4. Just send an email to communicoreweekly@gmail.com with your name, address, and your birthday, at least the month and the day, because obviously we're sending out weekly prizes to different people, but other special things on the birthday.
Heck yes.
Stuff like that. Yeah. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching and listening to another episode of Communicore Weekly.
Please, wherever you're listening or watching us, leave a comment, rate us on iTunes. Just let us know what you think of this week's show.
Yep, and in addition to entering the Year of a Million or So limited time cadets, you can email us at communicoreweekly@gmail.com just to tell us anything cool you want to.
Whatever, no bigs.
Yeah, we're fine.
You can also like us on the Facebook at facebook.com/CommunicoreWeekly.
And follow us on Twitter and Instagram. I'm at ImagineNerding. He's at Jeff Heimbuck.
And of course, you can always leave us a voicemail on the Communicore Weekly Goat line at 424-785-4628.
Be sure to visit CommunicoreWeekly.com and click on the link for the Communa store, where you can pick up awesome t-shirts and a copy of Communicore Weekly, the musical.
And, of course, send your self-addressed stamped envelope to Communicore Weekly, P.O. Box 432, Orange, California, 92856, and I will send you back your official cadet membership card. Amanda, not very funny, the envelope you sent me this week. Thank you very much.
Not the Soren one?
Yes, the Soren one.
You're a little sore about that one? Yeah.
I see what you did there, and I don't like it.
Okay, well, moving on. We would love for your support on Patreon. Visit patreon.com/Communicore Weekly and check out what that means and some of the special goodies you can get.
There's another secret exclusive video on there for the people that have supported us. It's actually pretty funny, so check it out.
Okay, so for Jeff Heimbuck, I'm George Taylor.
And for George Taylor, I'm Jeff Heimbuck. Thanks so much for listening, guys and gals. We'll see you next time on Communicore Weekly, the greatest online show.
Go, go.